How did I get into some of the craziest rooms you can imagine? And I don't say that to be hyperbolic. I say that as someone who didn't graduate college and is just a redneck from North Louisiana. And yet I've met countless ambassadors, the head of the African Union. I'm on the board of advisors for a presidential foundation, and I've met 3 presidents from Africa. Oh, I forgot to mention, one of my good friends used to be the COO of the Department of Energy for South Africa. So how did I do all this? And it's not a humble brag video, it's just practical advice on how to do this. First, I had a dream, and my dream was I wanted to work international. And the reasons for that, looking back, probably were wrong. I didn't understand the industry that I was in as well as I do now. And so it's like, yeah, probably didn't have the right aspirations, but they were still my aspirations. So that put me on a journey. Who can get me there? Who are the people that can open those doors for me? And so that started a path. And in 13, 14, I don't know, I had to go back and look. I met a man who became one of my good friends. His name is Muzi. And Muzi and I were at this conference, and he was from South Africa. And I asked to come to South Africa to present and to do work down there. Fast forward a year later, Muzi didn't invite me down. I hadn't been to South Africa, nor had any real prospects internationally. And so what happened was Muzi gave a presentation, and during the presentation at the conference, he said that he wanted Americans to come down to South Africa to help on these various projects. So I waited for everyone else to get their chance to talk to him. And at the end, I said, hey, Muzi, I want to come down to South Africa. What do I need to do? And he mentioned that there was a conference in August. This was in June, we were talking, and he's like, you know, you could come down and present at this conference. I said, great. All you have to do is just respond to an email in the next day or two saying I can come down. So I sent the email, and then 2 days later, the conference was getting ready to end, and I see Muzi. I said, Muzi, you hadn't responded to my email. And he goes, oh, yeah, I'm going to, I forgot. And I said, if you don't respond to my email, I'm going to do a presentation at this conference next year and tell everyone I tried to come down and help you, but you wouldn't have me. 2 months later, I was in South Africa presenting at a conference and became an international speaker, or simply off of that. And I asked Muzi, I said, hey, why would you not respond to all the emails about coming down? The previous year, I sent you some, and you never responded. And what he told me changed a lot of my perspective, my mindset, my mentality. He said that a lot of people would approach him at the conference, say, we want to come down, but they never would follow through. And so it took that boldness of me saying, I'm going to call you out if you don't have me down, for him to realize that I was serious about coming down. And we got offered a big contract, and I'm not going into all the details. I might do that in a separate part of the series about what happened with some of those events, but that led me on the journey of working internationally. So I became an international speaker and began working on trying to get projects internationally. So that was my first kind of breakthrough moment. Fast forward a few years later, Muzi and I were working on a project, and I'll detail this in a video in the playlist so you can watch and see what happened. And I met a guy standing in the middle of the ocean, Baffin Bay, and I had invited him on this fishing trip, and he mentioned working in China. And I had some connections in Africa at this time. And I was like, well, I don't know much about China, but I'm interested in, working there for sure. And he goes, we're going to China in a few weeks. This was in July. I just had a baby born in April. And so now he's offering me the chance to go to China in 2 to 3 weeks, whatever it was. And I said, sure, I'm there. He's like, really? We're in the middle of the ocean. Didn't call the wife, didn't check home, but I said I wanted to go. I couldn't go because of the visa requirements to get in, but I ended up in China a few months later. That turned into a couple things. One, I won an international policy hackathon. I was on a team at a conference and we won. On top of that, I was asked to be on the board of advisors for the presidential foundation I mentioned. After that conference, I was invited to attend these meetings where this group was bringing in dignitaries from Africa. And this would include ambassadors, ministers, even presidents. And so I started going to those. And that led me to working on some wild projects that I'll detail again in this playlist. And so all that to say, what got me in the door was I had a dream, I had an aspiration, and I said yes. I said yes to all kinds of stuff. Meeting people, going on trips, and showing that I was the kind of person that if you asked me to do something and I wanted to do it, and I said yes, I was going to do it. That opened up all kinds of doors. So if you're sitting here thinking, I want to try something, you got to adopt that mentality. The mentality that says, yep, when they call, I'm the person that's going to show up. And just like with me and Muzi, we became really good friends. And we did because we had a mutual respect for each other. And that respect started with what might sound controversial, which was me kind of calling him out, but it ended up showing him that I was serious. And that led to international projects, being on the board of advisors for a presidential foundation, and working on all kinds of wild stuff. If you're sitting here going, how do I do this crazy stuff? It's not only international, it's domestic too. You have to think, okay, I want to do this, and then be willing to take the risk to do the things that will put you ahead of most people. And as you will see in the series, most people just like to talk. They don't really want to do stuff.